Hey guys, Brad Speed here. Look, today I've got these little fog/spotlights that I bought just from AliExpress. $60 kit, awesome little kit. I'm just going to be chucking it on the CRF. So I've got some aluminium flat bar. I'm going to use that with a little flat bar bender to make up some nice little brackets and mount it all up. This kit, like 60 bucks on AliExpress, sometimes you don't know what you're going to get, and this kit is actually awesome. It comes with all the wiring. I'll show you through what comes in it in a second. But the main reason for doing this is out where I live, sort of out in the sticks a little bit, it's really dark at night, there's no street lights. I do a little bit of night riding, and out where I live in Australia, have things like wallabies and things that love to jump out directly in front of you at the last second when you're riding on the road. Nearly hit one literally just the other night. So I think even with the upgraded headlight that I've got on this, especially for some sort of longer distance light, being able to see 50, 60, even 100 meters away, I think would be really beneficial. This kit is awesome, but part of the reason I bought it is they're yellow and white. They have a bunch of different little modes that you can sort of select between. And they're a little bit bigger than I had hoped for, but they are still relatively compact for how bright they are. They're super duper bright. So anyway, I'll show you what comes in the kit, and then we'll start making up these brackets, and I'll show you where I'm going to mount it. This is the kit here. So it comes with the two lights. You see they got the two different types of light in there, and they're switchable between white and yellow. Now this is the wiring kit that it comes with, which is actually seriously such a good little kit. So it's got what do you call it, the light controller there. It's also got a little control here, so you can select between, you can actually turn them on and off. You can change the color, and it has like a flashing mode here, which I probably wouldn't use. Fog lights aren't all hardwired. They've actually got this really nice little screw-in waterproof plugs, which honestly, this is beautiful quality. It's got an inline fuse. The other thing that's really fantastic about this kit is the way it works, it has a remote line. So basically you have your positive and negative. The idea is you attach them directly to the battery, and you have this remote line. Like if you put like a sub in a car, or in like an audio, like an amp in your car before, basically it works the same way. So you just connect this to something attached to the ignition. So say for instance, you can attach it to your, wire it in line to your tail light, or perhaps your headlight or something like that. Basically just something that turns on when you turn on the key, right? And then turns off when you turn off the key. The idea being this little LED controller, when you turn the key on, it automatically powers up the lights, but more importantly, when you turn the key off, it depowers them so it can't drain your battery when you're not riding the bike. I have the DRC tail tidy on my bike. DRC tail tidy sort of eliminates the plate light. It uses the tail light as the plate light. So you end up with a spare 12 volt line that's attached to the ignition. So a spare 12 volt line that will turn on and off with the ignition, so you don't have to worry about draining your battery. Now what I use that for at the moment is my quad lock wireless charging head. I'm just going to wire this in line to that same line. Look, it's not going to suck up a lot of juice. It's literally just turning a switch on and off. That's all it's doing. It's not actually supplying the power to the lights. That comes from the two positive and negative that go to the battery. Anyway, what I'm getting at is the way that they've supplied this wiring is awesome. Makes it super duper easy to install and actually operate, because you've got this beautiful switch. So I'm going to make up these brackets. I've sort of roughly measured out how I'm going to do it, and I'll sort of show you where I'm going to sit these lights. I think what I'm going to do is mount them just here. I can make up a nice little aluminium bracket that'll tag off these triple clamp bolts, and it'll sort of sit up sort of next to the headlight. I think aesthetically it's a nice place. It's sort of tucked in. It'll be nice and safe in there too, and it's sort of high enough that it'll still be actually functional as a light. Just quickly mention as well, it did come with a couple little bracket options for the little control switch. So this one here I think is a really good option. I've just put a slightly longer bolt in there with a spacer. That way it keeps it nice and spaced out. It's not hitting any of the front brake bracketry there. All right, I'm going to make up these brackets, and we'll sort of set it on there and see how things are looking. All right, I've got it pretty well mocked up. You can sort of see it there. Now, the reason I'm mocking it up on this side is because of the brake line, which, yeah, obviously sort of is a bit of a hindrance. So I can get this side right, then I'll just copy it on the other side, rather than getting that side right, realizing that I'm gonna have to readjust everything for this side and having to redo the other side. Look, it's not too bad, this. I'm not mega happy with it though, because I would prefer it to sit a little more tucked in to the headlight, sort of closer. It's a bit sort of, I don't know, leery. But the other issue is when you turn the steering on full lock, not that you do that very often, it does just hit the panel there. So sort of first attempt at a bracket, that one. I think probably I'm gonna go ahead and try and work out a way of having it come over a little further so it tucks in a little closer to the headlight. I think that will be much better.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
Okay, mounting bracket attempt number 2. I'm much happier with this one. It's sitting pretty much exactly how I want it. It's sitting up into this little cutout of the headlight exactly where I want it. Looks much tidier. Just done this by putting a couple of little funny bends in it, like a sideways bend and then a couple of corrective bends. You can see I've had to muck around with it a little bit. So there's a few bends there to get it to do what I want it to do, but I'm pretty happy with it. It's just touching the little brake line, whatever you call it, slot, little locator, but I'm not too worried about that. I have had to put a little cutout in it so it doesn't hit the brake line in here, but it's still really, really nice and solid because it's a pretty short bracket. Now, the only other thing is it is at the very back, just a couple of these fins are just nicking the headlight cowl. Now, it'd be pretty easy for me to grab the belt sander and just fix that. I'll take a little chunk out of the cowl, but I have the bike on the paddock stand right now, which has obviously brought the rear of the bike up a little bit. So before I go cutting chunks out of my headlight cowl, I'm gonna wait till it's dark. I'm gonna get this all mounted up. I'll aim the lights how I want them because I'm suspecting they're gonna sort of have to come down a little bit, and they really don't have to come down very much to clear the, for those fins to clear the headlight cowl. So I'm gonna wait till I've got it all aimed up. Worst case scenario, take a little chunk out of the back of that headlight cowl. You won't even see it anyway. Much happier with how that's fitting. The challenge now is going to be trying to make an identical reverse side bracket for this side that fits up exactly the same way. So I'm going to muck around with that for a little bit. I'll probably tidy up the edges on this bracket, give them a bit of a sand, make it look nice and tidy, and get it ready for probably some black paint. There's a better look at the bracket anyway. You can see I've done quite a few little bends there to get it to do what I want it to do. See, it bolts on straight, and it yeah, comes over and does what I want it to do. Pretty simple, really just a bit of mucking around, bit of trial and error, set it on there, make another adjustment. But yeah, really nice and pretty easy to use, these little flat benders. You can use steel or Ali. Second bracket made. I think I did a pretty good job of getting them pretty damn close. Anyway, all tidied up and ready to bolt to the bike. All right, all mocked up. I reckon they look pretty good actually. Brackets look really nice and tidy. Give them a bit of black paint and they'll be good to go. All nice and clear on the brake line there. But yeah, pretty even, sitting pretty nice. I'm really quite happy with that actually. Pretty flush and even with each other. All right, now for the probably more time consuming part of getting all the wiring connected up, tucking everything up nice and neatly behind the panels. By then, the look of things is probably going to be dark. So I'll power it up, take it outside, and we'll find out how well it actually works. All right, we fast forwarded a little bit. So all the wiring's all done. Looks like a big mess, but it's actually all cable tied up, all nice and neat and tidy. We've got enough slack that there's no issues with steering. I think I forgot to mention before, they're not hitting the panels in this position. Good amount of clearance. It's all good. I've wired up my little button up here. It's sitting really nice and tidy. Really quite happy with that little bracket. So that wiring then trails down underneath behind the tank, pops up just here. Got a little LED light controller. So then I have 2 wires going into the battery down in here. And then the remote line I've just got attached up here to what was the plate light on the original factory tail. So then you get the remote line there, and then that power is actually the power that then goes off to my little wireless charging head I mentioned earlier, using the same power for that. Bit of mucking around, sort of nice and neatly cable tying it up, running it up through the body, up through little cable retainer, and then yeah, obviously making sure I have enough slack. But The important thing is, it works. There we go. So I'm going to chuck my panels back on. I'll take it up away from my dirty little workshop area and be able to show you properly what the difference is. So I'll get everything back on and then we'll catch back up in a sec. So it's nice and dark. So we'll start off with what I did have on the bike already. So that's daytime running light. Turn our main headlight on. That's main headlight. That's high beam. Now let's turn the fogs on, shall we? That's the yellow, and that's the white. That is such a big difference. Holy crap, that is ridiculous. So I'll turn them back off. Hold the button. That's off. So that's just normal headlight with high beam. And then that's with the fogs on. And you can actually, if you double press the button, it'll go both. So I'm going to turn my headlights off. So that's the headlights are, there we go, the headlights are off. So that's just daytime running lights, the fog lights, sorry. So yellow, and honestly, I could ride it just with this and not even use the headlight. So I'll turn the headlight on now. So that's full headlight with high beam. That's nowhere near as much of a difference. Honestly, it makes the headlight piss weak. That is a ridiculous difference. And this little button here is so cool. So you've got flashing as well for some reason. I'm not sure when you'd use that. You would absolutely blind someone using that at night. But anyway, so we'll just go back to normal. And yeah, so it seems to default to yellow every single time. And you just press it again, it makes it white. The other thing is the white seems to be two separate beams, whereas the yellow, they seem to focus together in on one. But it's certainly not bad. It's that, like, again, I'll put full headlights with full high beams on. That's stuff all difference. Like that, honestly, like if we just turn them off all the way, that's my normal headlights. Again, like full headlights and then fog light. Man, I've made some dumb purchases on this bike, things that were totally unnecessary and didn't make any difference. And this is not one of them. This might be the best 60 bucks I've spent on this bike. All right, so AliExpress fog lights, are they worth doing? 100% yes. In terms of bang for buck, for the sake of $60, the difference that these make is absolutely ridiculous. Really incredible value for money, really. As I mentioned earlier, the factory headlight on these is pretty limited at night. I found it to be absolutely terrible. The upgrade headlight that I've put on there, LEDs, is much brighter, much more functional. These fog lights completely put it to shame. The difference is ridiculous. So if you're someone who does any amount of night riding, I would 100% recommend these. They make such a big difference. Now, cost. What's the actual total cost of buying these and putting them on? So as I mentioned, the fog lights are about 60 Australian dollars. I ordered them. They took like 6 days to come from China, which I've been having a bit of that sort of success with AliExpress lately. Stuff comes so fast. Okay, now in terms of the tools and the stuff, you actually need to install them. So if you're going to do it the way that I've done it with the flat steel bender, or the flat plate bender, I think that bit of aluminium cost me about 16 bucks. The flat plate bender, I think, was like $40 or $45. That's a king chrome magnetic one that just magnets into my vise. You know, I'm sure you'll be able to get access to a vise somewhere. You know, there'd definitely be some cheaper versions of a flat plate bender you'd be able to buy, again, probably from AliExpress or eBay or something like that. But say you went the expensive option like I did, you know, we're talking $45. So I ran that to about, you know, about $100 for the flat plate bender and the actual fog lights themselves. You know, get access to a vise somewhere. Say you even have to buy a vise. Might cost you $100 for a good vise. You're talking like $200. You know, I soldered that one connection of the remote line, but you don't have to do that. You could have used, you know, a Scotch connector or some other similar, cheaper way of connecting it. I just chose to solder it because I had a soldering iron. So, you know, realistically, say you have nothing, even with a bit of sandpaper and a drill, you're probably talking $200 total cost to fit these, and they're all ready to go. And you've got tools left over that you can do other cool stuff with later. And like, some of the Chinese stuff is great and some of it is crap. You know, so you kind of don't know what you're going to get, which is why it's great that they're only 60 bucks, because if you get them and they're rubbish, you've only wasted 60 bucks. But these particular lights are excellent quality. The whole casing is metal, it's aluminium, All the wiring seems to be of really nice quality. All the little connectors are, you know, nice screw-in waterproof connectors with little seals. The quality of the overall product is excellent. You know, if they were 200 bucks in a shop, I would have thought that would be about, you know, on the money, because it's a really great kit. So, you know, like I said, you kind of don't know what you're going to get sometimes when you order from China, but this particular item was really fantastic. So, as I mentioned before in previous videos about Chinese stuff, like with the mirrors, I can't really put a link to the exact product that I bought because in 2 weeks it won't work, as is the way with a lot of these Chinese products. But I'm going to put in the description the exact description of the product so that you can just search it on either eBay or AliExpress or Temu or whatever cheap Chinese product service you use, so that you can just search that name, because they seem to all call them the exact same name, and then just find the one that's, you know, either looks very similar to this or is the same. So if that's what you want to do, put one of these on your bike, I would recommend it. And the total installation took me probably about a day. Probably about half a day. I think I started around lunchtime and I finished around, I don't know, 6 o'clock at night. So, you know, but then I was being really, really fussy, and I was mucking around doing other stuff in the middle of that. So, you know, it's a bit of a pain, but if you've watched any number of my videos, I always call every single time I'm working on this bike, I call it a pain because I'm just a big fat whinger. I like to whinge about everything. So it's really not that hard. It's a pretty easy install. And for me, being someone who's, you know, suffers with obsessive compulsive disorder, so I've got to do everything the best way possible. For me to be able to do it in 6 hours, you could definitely do it a less, you know, perfectionist way in a way quicker amount of time. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you got something good out of that. If you did, do me a favor, hit that like button. And if you want to see some more 250L stuff, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. Believe it or not, with the amount I've done to this bike, I actually still have some more plans for it, some pretty major stuff, like maybe even painting the frame soon. So I still have some more stuff that I want to do to this bike. So if you want to see some more of that sort of content, definitely hit the sub button. I really appreciate it. And I'll see you next time.